The company is hired. You'll have your very own ship, your very own crew. Your job? Collect worthless garbage to return to the company desk.
What's up, I'm Xander, and you might notice something if you just got into gaming or you've been a long-time gamer. Clones happen all the time. When you take a certain game that made a trend popular and give your own spin on it without it just being straight up plagiarism, it happens all the time. It seems like every time a new trendy game hits the scene, at least 3 or 4 clones gotta be made for it. When Five Nights at Freddy's hit the scene, games like Hello Neighbor, Poppy Playtime, and Don't Make Me Laugh followed the formula of a dark secret behind a seemingly innocent mascot. Mascot horror became the official term for it. Or how about Fortnite? Christ. PUBG, But a recent trend, if you've been playing video games for a while, you might have noticed with the late 2023 release Lethal Company. Now, the formula wasn't especially new. I think Phasmophobia was the first to do it, but specifically the vibe and feel of Lethal Company was what kickstarted the trend and spawned, from at least what I've played, 5 different clones with the same general idea. Now, clones in themselves are not inherently bad. They can actually be a really good thing, giving you a different perspective on a certain gaming trend. So I gathered my good buddies to help record and look into these clones to see what works and what doesn't. So stay with me, ladies and gentlemen, because today we're taking a look at Lethal Company clones. Our first clone takes us to exactly what it feels like to become a new YouTuber. Watch this shit. Content warning was arguably the first of these big Lethal Company clones, and thankfully we start strong. The game has the same deal where we go somewhere really spooky, scary, and really dark, so I had to turn my brightness up. I don't care if it's cheating. The only difference between the two is obviously you grab loot in Lethal Company and content warning, you gotta film a video to put it on SpookTube. There isn't a terrible variety of maps, I believe there's only 2 or 3, but the nice thing is the maps are way bigger. Such, despite not having a terribly difficult process, it's still fun to explore. Usually one of you has to interact with one of the monsters, but it gets easy to get lost in these maps and making your way back to your pod, especially with your footage, and it can be a real challenge. And if you have one day where you do nothing in terms of views, you ain't making that 3-day deadline. There's a decent variety of monsters and entities you can encounter. Like just in this recording, we came across the Mixer Head dude, the little hedgehog f***er twice. What is your political stance, Republican or Dominican? There's all sorts of creepy creatures who usually react in different ways. There's some that attack the players if they see them, but there's some that won't hurt you if you just don't approach them. But usually if you want to succeed, you gotta get down and dirty, aka die. The more you progress, the more views you get, and you can even get sponsor deals. That must be nice! Of course, the best part about this game is playing with friends, as I'm almost certain you couldn't play this game solo. It's all about recording you and your buddies getting ass blasted, and it's pretty fun, even almost a year after the game came out. The player models are also very different, and even ragdoll if you run into one, that's pretty fun. I also like the look of both the hub world, the house you guys live in, and the underground old world, which is black and white and all sketchy. But I have to acknowledge some issues the game has. First off, the flashlights really don't do much, and that's why I ended up just turning up my brightness. I also can't deny that the same maps don't get old. They're big enough to keep you interested, and you can play quite a few rounds on them, but it gets old especially since I haven't seen any updates regarding new maps. The sponsor deals are also kind of weird, like we took the Red Bull one where you have to take 400 damage, and me and Archer thought for sure we had enough damage from our second day to match the deal, but no, we only took 100 damage. Me and Archer both died on that day. How did we only take 100 damage? Even if it was something like we had to hold the can of Red Bull for the damage to count, it doesn't say that anywhere in the deal. It also gets old to consistently get gangbanged by like the same 2 monsters. It makes it a hassle to get the camera back if you weren't the one holding it. Other issues are pretty nitpicky. For being the first of these clones, not only does it hold up as its own game, but I'd argue there's certain elements that are way more fun here. What are your thoughts on women's rights? Alright, moving on to a bit more of an ambitious title, Sketchy's contract released, 8 days after content warning. Weird. Well, after playing, unfortunately, it seems this one's our first bad Lethal Company clone. The problem with this one comes down to 2 things, identity and bugs. See, although content warning took heavy inspiration from Lethal Company, it could always have been seen as its own thing. This clearly was made with Lethal Company fully in mind, as it has nothing of an identity. It's even set in space like Lethal Company. Pretty much you navigate to different planets and you can go to different ports and collect things while avoiding enemies. Some can easily be destroyed with your flamingo on a stick, while others take a bit more firepower. Okay, so like I said, identity is just half of the problems. The other half is the game itself not being finished. So you might notice the only planet we went to was the tropical one, not because we quit, but because the game just wouldn't let us play it. Like, I picked up a weapon and it said my hands were full, so I was like, could I drop the item? No, nothing worked. It took Archer killing me in order for me to get anywhere with it. And then he got glitched and he didn't know what to do, and I tried killing him and it didn't work. Oh my god. aneurysm. And don't get me started on the enemies. No, seriously, I can't say anything here. They're copy-paste. The only thing I was impressed by is the look of it. It at least looks different than Lethal or even Content or any of these others. For everything else, it had a great concept. By God, this concept is really cool, but glitches and a lack of variety makes this one of the worst of the 5.
It doesn't actually hit you.
Why? Hey, yeah, that's 30 damage, bro.
That's 30 damage. Oh, it does damage? I'm so sorry.
Hey! Okay, this one came out a while down the line, but we got Murky Divers, a deep-sea diving version of Lethal Company. I still refuse to play Subnautica, so this should be fun. This is practically the same as Lethal Company, only underwater and terrifying, thank you very much. The aesthetic here is very similar to Lethal Company, only I believe it's a bit more grainy, which is perfect, you're underwater. The best part of this game is easily the entities. This thing right here is gonna haunt my nightmares for at least 2 weeks. Creatures like this water bat thing can hear you if you make noise. There's a bomb strapped to my chest! The actual problem is navigating. This one has you actually control your ship to go to each extraction point and collect the evidence. In concept it's cool, but in execution... Oh shit! We didn't even get to the first extraction without having a 2-star rating off the rip. It also gets a bit repetitive after a few rounds. I don't know, it felt like we were going to the same map over and over. The creatures are still very terrifying though, and the map might not be anything that fun to explore, but it's hard to deny this wasn't a fun time. The deep sea twist makes this nothing too special, but definitely one I'm glad I got a chance to play. Had we been better at navigating, this would have been up there with Content Warning, but it's still not bad by any means. Alright, to one of the 2 that actually came out this year, the Headliners is a Lethal Company clone, only this time, you and your buddies are journalists. Going into the city amidst a whole-ass apocalypse, your goal is to find the monsters or just any form of newsworthy chaos and snap pictures of it. Oh wait, we're working for Fox News!
You see, Tom, I am standing right outside the resident area of a f***ing virgin who seems to think that playing video games and watching movies all day is...
I'll admit this isn't exactly realistic because no news outlet would ever show actual dead bodies. Y'all crazy. But this one surprised me because I didn't hate it. The last time I played it was when it first came out in January, and I really enjoyed it fine, but I wasn't exactly in love with it. However, playing this now with Gabe definitely helped my thoughts on this game. It's actually pretty solid, a bit repetitive, but it's not a terrible time at all. The point is to go around this block, and at first it doesn't seem like that expansive of a map, but the buildings with green lights on them allow you to go in. We didn't know that at first. And that adds such a creepy atmosphere. I honestly really enjoyed it. The character models, I can see what they were trying to do, but I don't know, the clone that came after this was way better with it. My biggest issue is the entities. I wasn't too big on them this time. The one that throws things at you? Whatever. We came across this rat in the building and it literally knocks you down and takes 1 health from you. Yeah, I'm shaking in my little tin shut. But I was very impressed with this one, especially considering from what I played in January, I thought this was surely not going to be good. Hello out there! Okay, our last clone, the latest of them all, Repo. I know you guys know what Repo is, or at least you've seen some clip on TikTok or IG Reels. This game has been pretty popular, and I do think it's more than the comedy that comes from it. But I'll be honest, that is a solid 80% of it. Repo is a game where you play as storybots and look around, as of right now, the same 3 maps, searching for things of different values. Some things are smaller and can be picked up with an easy grab, others are medium and usually can be grabbed easy but with a bit more force, and some are huge items you can't really get without friends. Usually these are the most valuable items. And of course, per the clone formula, a variety of monsters are out to get you.
So, that just seems like Lethal Company, right? You go on a map, collect loot, try to avoid monsters, right? Well, there is one thing that changed this game, and perhaps made or break it for you.
No, that's Grandpa's ashes. Don't you? No! This is pretty much Lethal Company with physics. Those items I mentioned, they can break and lose value if you're not careful. Mixing that with having to hide from the monsters can make getting even the smallest items to the extraction point a challenge. So far, none of these clones would pass Lethal Company in quality for me, except for probably Content Warning, but that's just because I'm a YouTuber and that's exactly how it is. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? This one is so fun, it might as well just be its own game. Like, it doesn't even feel like Lethal Company. Even though, as I mentioned, there's only 3 maps, they're also fun to traverse through, and the hallways can make for a fun time if you get jumped by the monsters. Not to mention they get bigger as you go on through the levels. Speaking of which, the monsters are also fun, and as no 2 monsters act the same. There's a robe thing who doesn't like it when you look at it, a duck who doesn't like to get touched, a hunter who's blind but can hear even the faintest sounds, a crazed animal creature who stomps around like a madman destroying your precious valuables, And what I like is that unlike some of these others, the monsters can work together. The duck, for example, if he's in front of you and the hunter is around, he could easily quack and alert the hunter. Such, he'd shoot you instead of the duck. There's a lot of combos like that to make sure you don't ever feel too comfortable. The aesthetic is my favorite of any of these clones. The grainy look and the often dark atmosphere make it perfect.
Now, it's also worth noting that this game exploded on social media. Now, was there a reason for that?
I love.
Yes!
And of course, as you probably have picked up from those TikTok videos, the character models are incredibly charming. Such simple robot designs, and yet it's one that gets across so much. Of course, you've probably seen the reels regarding some of the objects that alter gameplay. Me and my buds found the music box that spins you around, making it near impossible to put it in the cart without breaking it. There's the clown doll that if you touch its nose 3 times, he explodes. God! This game is hard to take seriously, and that's very charming. The others, you can't really mess around, you gotta be straightforward and meet your goal. This one, yeah, you want to meet that goal, but it's not on a day limit, no set goal, the only limit is the money you have to gather, making preserving the valuable items that much more important. The game is absolutely perfect with friends. I can't fully recommend this one for those who go solo, it's way better with friends. I mean it when I say it, this is probably the one I recommend the most you play with your friends. Honestly, I have problems with it, but it's hard to be mad at a game like this when it's literally doing everything to make it fun, and these developers clearly care about their product as they're consistently updating the community on what's next. Go check them out at SimiWork on YouTube. I can't wait for it all. This might be the first viral game since Marvel Rivals to fully invest me. I cannot wait to see what more comes from this one. Colin, there's some treasure in there. Diamonds. You have got to be f***ing kidding me.
Well, that was all 5 of the major Lethal Company clones. That was pretty fun to go through all these games that I've maybe never played before. I don't play horror games a lot anymore, but it was really cool to play some of these games that I had no idea even existed. So,
get pizza for you today.
What?
Nuts.
You motherfucker, these are almonds! Well, thank you guys so much for joining me, and until next time. Fuck.